Hey, it's Drybear. Continue our series of looking at the weapons that have changed in Monster Hunter Wilds, and today I want to talk about one of my all-time favorite weapons, the sword and shield. Now, the sword and shield has always been that low skill floor, high skill ceiling weapon. It's basically a weapon that's for everyone. It has one of the most unique aspects in that you can use items while you have your weapon out, because it's such a lightweight weapon, you can actually just drink potions or use consumables, that sort of thing. It has a combination of both slashing damage as well as blunt damage because of the shield. It has some very flexible ways to move and transition. It's almost like a dual blade in that you can move fluidly between your attack animations. Round slash as well as the side steps allow you to fluidly move around the monster, and you have a lot of mobility through like the back hops and everything. So it's a very flexible weapon, but once you master the movement of it, you can actually do a lot of crazy things with it, and it's also one of the few weapons that can do in some monster hunters build for more raw damage, but usually building for more elemental because it's so fast, especially with the new Monster Hunter Wilds version of this charged chop. It's this chop that you wind up with in focus mode, and you jump with the dagger facing down, or the blade facing down, and then you get multiple hits as it's hitting down on the monster, which is going to be perfect for elemental damage once we can actually make full builds with the weapon. And overall, I would say that the sword and shield is nothing but improved in Monster Hunter Wilds. Not only do we have a couple new transitions out of some combo states, round slash and side steps are really good. You still have the blunt damage with the shield. Your perfect rush is still the same. It's still perfect rush. It's still incredibly strong. The back hops are incredibly strong. And I was curious after messing around with it a bunch, whether I was going to just completely replace perfect rush with the new charged chop, or whether they were going to work in tandem or in different ways. And I'm happy to report that overall, I would say that this sword and shield version is incredible. This is going to be one of the best weapons in Monster Hunter Wilds to play. So if you're a sword and shield main, don't worry, all the core kit is still there. You still get to do your perfect rush combos and your mobility. You still get to do your KO damage with a light weapon, and you still now get to do some new things with the new charged chop and the focus system. On top of that, they have some easy ways to mount, as they always had, and using the wound system, you actually have two versions on the wound. So when a target has a wound on them and you can use your focus mode to do the jumps thrust into the wound to lock on, you actually mount on the monster briefly, and you have an option to either use your dagger and chop downward with a kind of pseudo charged chop, which does multiple hits on the way down, or you can use your shield to launch yourself up and do a little bit of blunt damage and then come back down with the shield, which gives you a lot of flexibility depending on the monster type, how they move, and the situation and environment that you're currently in, which makes sword and shield incredibly effective. So I did a bunch of raid owl hunts messing around with the new charged chop and the new focus system, trying to open wounds. I also messed around with the old play style of just doing, basic, trying to KO damage with the shield when you can, trying to use some charge ups when you can, and then get as many perfect rushes in there as you can. And I think generally, once we start getting faster monsters, once we start getting past the raid owl is a great starting point, but once you kind of know his moves and where his hitboxes end up, he starts to get a little bit too easy on that front. So we're just kind of messing around and doing some of those, and I think it is basically the exact same kit that Sword and Shield has always had. I will miss the oils from Rise and a little bit of their wire bug actions, but I think that the flexibility they have has only been improved by the focus strike system. So let's walk through what we have now just a little bit. I've been doing this on some of my weapon reviews for people that don't play this weapon or haven't really played it before, but Sword and Shield is a very easy weapon to pick up. You have your basic combos where you can kind of mix into your normal light attacks, and then basically you can do all these heavy attacks and sweeping attacks, and you can also do like some guard slashes, which are super useful. Guard slash is a very flexible ability. You have lots of mobility and range, and you have very good recovery on this weapon as well. So you can actually move around, reposition, and deal with that. Now, it's not for the focus mode, like the new stuff. While you're holding focus mode, you can still do chops and lateral slashes, and then you can use your charge chop by going into your, like holding both weapons, which is this attack here. It has so many hits on it, and it's actually so useful. So you can do into the running slash here. You can go into like the running slash, into a round slash. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. You can go into the running slash, into the round slash, and then you can do this in the air as well, which gives you so much flexibility to go into a charged chop. Now, we still have like the back hop into the perfect rush. The perfect rush is still there, and it's still very strong, and it gives you that little lift if you land that last attack as well, which is super strong. We still have like the basic like shield smashing combo, decent amount of KO damage. You can stun targets by hitting them in the head with this. Very flexible in that way as well. And your I think overall it's just super nice. But what I like about the new Sword and Shield, and one thing that, like, I wouldn't say it's like my most used, it's probably my second or third most used weapon across all Monster Hunters. One of the things that I don't like about Sword and Shield specifically is really just the lack of reach. You do have to learn the slash range, right? In a game where you're playing lots of large weapons, lance, gun lance, insect glaive, great sword, switch axe, a lot of these weapons are very big and they have incredible range and reach. Sword and Shield is one of the shorter ones in that you really have to be kind of close, and a lot of times you can miss specific spots. And that's one of the things that kind of like, I usually take breaks from Sword and Shield because of that, because sometimes I just like to mix it up and that sort of thing. However, with the new Focus Strike, the Vital Stab, you can fix this pretty easily. As long as you're opening up wounds regularly when you need to, this jump and getting a little bit of stab action in there gives you a lot of range, and the fact that you can link into a wound and hold on to it and mount, as well as going into your normal, like your normal perfect rush combo. If you have the opportunity as well, you can just charge up your charge chop, and this will hit so many different weak points and splash so much damage. Once we have full elemental builds, it's going to go nuts. And I found myself kind of comparing it a little bit to dual blades and how much you can mix up your side to side and your ground game. It's obviously not preferred because your damage is going to be much lower if you're just doing round slashes and guard chops and things like that. But it does feel very flexible and fluid and allows you to move around the monsters that are coming in. You still have the option to do some KO damage on the target, and you still have the flexibility of having multiple damage types, right? If you need to actually do certain damage type like blunt versus slashing to a specific target, you certainly can. And on top of that, if you still master the back hop perfect rush, it opens a lot of attack opportunities for you as well. And keep in mind, as we get more monsters in the game, we're going to start realizing all the different wound areas that you can get. Specifically, you can open wounds with any weapon. So if you're using the focus mode properly, you can open wounds. This gives you the opportunity to do the Vital Stab into a combo. But on top of that, a lot of monsters are going to have moments where after an attack, like right now, right here, you'll notice that after he does this big AoE, when his horns open up, he actually has a part, like a temporary wound spot on his face. So when you can dodge the attack, it gives you a very easy way to go into a combo. And you can even mix this in with KO damage as well. So you notice that he's going to do, we'll roll it back here, he's going to do his forward big splash attack. Right after he does that, when his horns open up after the shot, he has a wound spot or a red spot right there. So you can use the Sword and Shield to get right in, go right in and mount. And again, you have the option to either do the down slash for the extra elemental damage, or you can do the shield bash upward to do even more KO damage and do a falling attack as well to get some extra shots in there. I'm so excited to see how far the Sword and Shield can go for a like speedrun style combat, because you have the way to mount, you have the multiple damage types, and you have the charge chop as well. And to be honest with you, the way that I started falling into, I'm still messing around with it, and once we actually have weapons and builds and we actually have our talents and perks set up, it's going to be a lot easier to understand what the optimal is going to be for a weapon like this that relies on the kind of weapon, the target using elemental weakness, and of course elemental procs on this. But I found myself using basically the normal ground game, KO damage when you can, and then actually just using charge chop most of the time, trying to use the focus mode and the focus grapple, and then using perfect rush when they're down. You still have great opportunities to use perfect rush, and I would say that without an elemental build, perfect rush still out damages your focus strike and your focus mode abilities, and you still get lots of damage outside of it. And of course you can end it with a mount as well. But I think that it's going to have a nice flexibility depending on the monster option and how good you are at your back hop. So let me know what you think about this. If you're a Sword and Shield main out there, how you feel about it is in Wilds. I know every weapon got some changes in some form. Some people are not happy with what changed about their weapons, but I would say that this is kind of like a very good poster child for what I would like to see in weapons when they get reworked in a new title game, because all of the core of what Sword and Shield is still there, but now it just has added functionality and more variety and options that you can mix into it while still maintaining that same feel and vibe that it has on it. And I think it's definitely going to be one of my core weapons going into Wilds playing around, because it's just such fun to play. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.